The best books I read over the last 12 months. Greetings, Joseph Kursky here, geographer and avid reader. University of Kansas, Rock Chalk, Jayhawks. Here with you to talk about my favorite books month by month over the last 12 months. Last year I read 68 books, and here are my favorites. In January, my favorite book was Have You Eaten Grandma? Have You Eaten, Grandma versus Have You Eaten Grandma by Giles Brandreth. It's all about grammar, pronunciation, and language, and how it's spoken and written, and how it's goofed up, and the importance of all those things. So that's a joy. I highly recommend that one. In February, my favorite book was Much Ado About Nothing, William Shakespeare. I'd read that years ago, but I reread it last year, and it was grand. In March, I would vote for my favorite book, even though I liked The Future of Architecture in 100 Buildings by Mark Kushner. I love architecture almost as much as geography. I'd have to say my favorite book then, well, I'm going to tied for two things. Around the World in 80 Trains by Monisha Rajesh, which was wonderful, Around the World in 80 Trains. And then also The Library book by Susan Orlean, all about the importance of public libraries in society, and also specifically about the Los Angeles County Public Library fire a number of years ago. In April, my favorite book was Follow the River, James Alexander Thom. It's all about a person that was taken from the village where she lived and taken to Kentucky and escaped. This is back in 1755, and went all the way back to her homeland in Virginia, and how she followed the rivers. And so it's all about history, geography, cultures clashing, and much more, and it's fascinating. In May, I'd have to vote for my favorite book being The Nativity by Angela Hunt. It's all about the Christmas story, the Nativity, and that was really quite well done. Even though many people have heard that story before, the way she does it and really digs into the details is just awesome. I also read Animal Farm again by George Orwell, which was fascinating and a bit scary as well. In June, my favorite book, I read 5 books in June. I did read Pride and Prejudice again from Jane Austen. That was good. I also read Kidnap from Robert Louis Stevenson. I was trying to read some of the classics then. But I'd have to say my favorite one was The Splendid and the Vile by Erik Larson. I love Erik Larson. Perhaps you do as well. History, geography, interwoven, really detailed, does his research so well. But that one was about Churchill, specifically about a year in his life back in 1940, 1941, and about his family as well. So that was good, quite excellent. July, my favorite book, I read 5 books in July. My favorite one, I'd have to say, was My Italian Bulldozer by Alexander Mccall Smith. I mean, Alexander Mccall Smith, he's got all these different series. I don't know how he keeps them all straight in his head, but the characters and the geography, in this case, of Italy is quite fascinating. You may have noticed this mug mat with books on it. Thanks, Mom. Awesome. August, I read 8 books in August. I'd have to say my favorite one was The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. It's a World War II fictional account, but based on true stories of people that forged names to get them escaped out of occupied France. So really quite good. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna vote for in August. September, I read 6 books. My favorite one was, I'm gonna say The Last Flight. It's a mystery book, and it's by Julie Clark, brand new 2020. That was my favorite book in September. Okay, October, I read 8 books again, and I would say my favorite book was You Never Forget Your First by Annie Lyons. And her point was, hey, there's never really been a female biographer of George Washington. And so she wrote one, and it's really quite excellent. You Never Forget Your First. Yep. That I also read The Dutch House, which is actually a pretty well-known book, but my favorite one was You Never Forget Your First back in October. In November, I read 7 books. I did read Come On, Get Happy by David Cassidy, his autobiography, which was actually pretty sad. I wanted to read that for a long time. I would say, though, my favorite book was probably The Red House Mystery, A.A. Milne. Now, A.A. Milne did write a mystery. It's called The Red House Mystery. He was quite versatile. And many people know him for, of course, the Winnie the Pooh stories. But he wrote lots of other things as well, and The Red House Mystery was quite proper and quite good. December, I read 8 books again, and gosh, I reread part of the Earthsea trilogy by Ursula K. Le Guin, which was quite good to read that again. I also read The Radium Girls by Kate Moore, which was quite chilling indeed. But I think my favorite one, which was one I wanted to read for a long time, and it's assigned in many cultural geography classes, is The Motel in America by John Jackal. The Motel in America. All about why motels, and especially independent motels, and then more recently chains, became popular and important in specifically American culture. But it's all about history and geography and about travel and so on, and business and how businesses operate then and now. So that was my favorite books over the last year. I did read 68 books, and I highly encourage you to keep reading and keep exploring and keep tabs on this channel. If there's anything that I can be of assistance with, send me a note. And meanwhile, take care. Thanks.